guys, today I will be taking a look at every single 2020 presidential election forecast and comparing the electoral maps that they are projecting right now based on the margins that they expect for both Joe Biden and Donald Trump in the 2020 presidential election. So the first forecast we're going to be taking a look at is the FiveThirtyEight forecast. This forecast gave Donald Trump the highest chance of victory in 2016, and in 2012 this forecast actually gave the electoral map completely correct. In 2012, between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney, their forecast was 100% based on margins 8 years ago. So that is pretty impressive. So taking a look at the 2020 forecast that FiveThirtyEight has out for us, all the West Coast solid for Joe Biden, as well as Hawaii, the state of Illinois, and most of the Northeast is all solid for the former vice president. We have Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and then finally the District of Columbia, and those are all the safe Biden states, giving him 183 electoral votes. For Donald Trump, we have Idaho, Wyoming, Utah. Montana is not a solid state this time around. North and South Dakota, the Nebraska at-large and 3rd District votes, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, not Mississippi, but Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia, giving Donald Trump 76 electoral votes, giving Joe Biden a 107 electoral vote advantage over the current president just with solid states, and his lead will continue to increase after we fill in the likely states. The likely states for Trump, we have most of these states. The states were all solid for the current president in 2016. All of these states that you see in this lighter red color, they were all solid except for South Carolina and Alaska, which were less than 1% away from being solid. So basically, these were all solid states, over 14% in all of them. So Donald Trump really in big trouble right now. These states are getting pretty close. Alaska isn't even polling in favor of Trump by over 7%, nor is he polling by a larger margin, than 7% in Missouri as well. Indiana is basically half the margin that Trump had in 2016. Mississippi is alarmingly close for a southern state. Kansas not polling well, but Montana not polling well for the president either. So for Joe Biden's likely states, we have a lot more. Surprisingly, we actually have the state of Nevada, as well as Colorado, New Mexico, Minnesota, and then the state of Michigan, along with the state of Virginia, as well as the at-large vote in the state of Maine, giving Joe Biden 244 electoral votes from this electoral map. And we also have New Hampshire, which I totally forgot about, so apologize for that. New Hampshire, this will put Biden at 248, which is basically every single Clinton state from 2016 and Michigan. So essentially what this means is that Joe Biden will win every single Clinton state with at least a likely margin, and even flip a Trump state from 2016 and make it a likely state just in Joe Biden's solid and likely state columns. Now for Donald Trump, his lean states, which is what we're going to move on to, he has one. That is the state of Texas. 38 electoral votes, a state that is much closer than it was in 2016, has not gone to a Democrat since over 4 decades ago. Mitt Romney carried this with a solid margin, and Trump is really not doing well here. For Joe Biden, his lean states, we have quite a few more. We have first the state of Arizona, as well as Wisconsin, the state of Pennsylvania. I don't know why I'm making these likely, but they should all be lean margins in these 3 states. And then finally, we have the state of Florida. And then for districts, we have the 2nd District of Nebraska. Now, I actually forgot to put the 1st District of Nebraska in the lean Trump column. So the 1st District of Nebraska, that is going to be, not lean, but likely. This is going to be a likely Trump district, with the 2nd District of Nebraska being a lean Biden district. So these 2 districts are going to be a lot closer than they were. Biden even flipping the 2nd district, and then Trump really not doing as well as he did 4 years ago in the 1st District of Nebraska. Now, for the tilt states on this electoral map, we have 4 final states: Iowa, Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, the 4 closest states in this election. Joe Biden will actually carry 3 of them on this forecast. Trump will only carry the state of Ohio, while Joe Biden will carry the states of Iowa, North Carolina, and Georgia. So Georgia and Iowa have been really back and forth for Joe Biden in the last couple of days. However, as of right now, Joe Biden is expected to win both Iowa and Georgia. So with this forecast, the FiveThirtyEight forecast, give Joe Biden 356, and then the 2nd district of Maine, that's the final state that I forgot there. So that's also a tilt district for Joe Biden, very, very close. I think he will flip it by a very, very small margin. So the 538 forecast currently gives Joe Biden 357 electoral votes to Donald Trump with 181. This would be considered a modern day political landslide. Now this right here, this is the actual 538 forecast. As you can see, Joe Biden has an 88% chance of winning. And then the electoral map, this is basically not a map, but this is more of a snake chart, I guess, which is what they call it. This is the only way in which they actually show which states that they think either candidate will win. As you can see, Iowa, the closest state for Biden, Ohio, the closest state for Trump. That's the 538 forecast. Moving on to the Economist forecast for the 2020 presidential election, taking a look at their new updated 2020 electoral map. We have the same solid states. So I'm going to fill in all of these solid states real quick for you guys. So these states are not going to flip. I mean, they're just so solid for their respective candidates. And in 2016, Oregon was a solid for Clinton, nor was New Jersey, nor was Delaware, nor was Connecticut even, I think. So in 2016, many of these solid Democratic states, they really were not too solid for Joe Biden 4 years ago, or not Joe Biden, but for Hillary Clinton 4 years ago. But this time around, they're very, very solid for Joe Biden. And the state of Nebraska and Maine, they're not doing those types of 2-district things. So I'm gonna take out the 1st district. I don't know why I put it there, but Nebraska is just going to be at large votes, so it's going to be solid. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, not Mississippi though, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia. So you basically have the same electoral map, except Trump has one more electoral vote, Joe Biden has one less, because Trump would win the 2nd district and Biden would not get the 1st district of Maine, just because the Economist forecast is not separate Maine's districts like how it votes. So taking a look at the likely states for Donald Trump first, we have Montana, Kansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Indiana, South Carolina, and that's it actually. So this is what we talked about. These states were all solid for Trump in 2016. This time they are not. For Joe Biden's likely states, this will give him such a huge electoral vote presence. We have the state of Maine, as well as New Hampshire, Virginia. We have Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Colorado, and New Mexico, giving Joe Biden 253 electoral votes. And he would be flipping Wisconsin and Michigan with likely margins as of right now. Wisconsin is the difference here. In the last forecast, Wisconsin was a lean state and Nevada was a likely state, but this time around, Nevada is a lean state for Joe Biden. So is the state of Arizona, so is North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Florida. So yes, this does get Joe Biden over 270. He's now at 334 electoral votes. For President Trump, his lean states, we only have 2, Texas, and then surprisingly, the state of Alaska is currently projected to be a lean state. This would signal a huge ton of decline for the current president if he wins Alaska with a lean margin on election night. Now, these final 3 states, Ohio will again be the only tilt state for President Trump. For Joe Biden, he will carry both the states of Iowa as well as the state of Georgia, giving Joe Biden 356 electoral votes to Donald Trump 182. So if they were to categorize the 2nd districts of Maine and Nebraska, this map would probably be the exact same as the 538 map, which is pretty interesting. These other maps are going to differ a little bit more, but it's interesting to see how all these main forecasts are giving Joe Biden a very, very solid pathway to victory. And this forecast also gave Joe Biden an over 30% chance of victory in 2016. So the Economist forecast is one of the better forecasts out there. It's one of the best forecasts, in my opinion, and in many other people's opinions. I think that this forecast is definitely one of the most accurate and really does display a lot of good information. There's actually no maps, so I have to go through every single state one by one to fill that in. So this is the win probability map, not by actual margins, but the map we just went through right here, this is by the actual margins that they expect either candidate to have on the electoral map. As you can see, they give Joe Biden Georgia as well as Ohio, but not the state of, Iowa, but not the state of Ohio, nor the state of Texas. So the next forecast I'm going to be taking a look at is the JHK forecast. So taking a look at their electoral map right here, we have the JHK forecast map. So first, all the West Coast is going to be solid for Biden, as well as New Mexico, which is pretty surprising. Hawaii is a solid state, so is New York, Vermont, all of these northeastern states, obviously. As was the first and at-large vote in Maine, you have New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, the District of Columbia, and then the state of Illinois. So Joe Biden's actually at 190 electoral votes. For Donald Trump, we have quite a few more solid states as well, really just one more, but still, this is probably the state that gives Donald Trump the forecast that gives President Trump the most solid states. So he also has Oklahoma. All of the deep south will be solid for the first time in our forecast here. Tennessee, Kentucky, and then West Virginia. So Joe Biden has still a 107 electoral vote lead with the solid states filled in. Now, with the likely states, Trump again will have probably the exact same likely states, except that he will not have Mississippi as it is a solid state, and Alaska will actually be a lean state. So I'm just going to fill that in right now. Another very disappointing categorization in the state of Alaska for Donald Trump. Now, for Joe Biden, his likely states, you have Colorado, New Mexico, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, or New Hampshire, Virginia, and that will give Joe Biden 258 electoral votes. For the former vice president's lean states, we have the three: Arizona, North Carolina, as well as the state of Florida, and then also the 2nd District of Nebraska, and then finally the Rust Belt state of Pennsylvania, a very important state to a Biden victory. And then we also have the 2nd District of Maine, surprisingly, which I found surprising to not be in the teal column. Now we have 4 final states. 2 are going to go to Trump, 2 for Biden. I'm sure you can all guess which ones are going to go to Trump and which ones are going to go to Biden. Ohio will go to Donald Trump, of course, as well as Texas, while Biden will carry both Iowa, a state that Trump won by almost 10% in 2016, and the state of Georgia. So again, we have a very similar map, but the next map, I can promise you, will be a lot more different. But on this electoral map, you see that New Mexico is a solid state actually on this electoral map. On the JHK forecast, you can see Biden's chances at its historical peak, and then the map down here, as you can see, New Mexico is solid, and then Iowa and Georgia are Biden states. Ohio and Texas are Trump states. So this electoral map is still very favorable. So right now, all the forecasts tend to have Joe Biden at over 350 electoral votes with less than a week to go until the 2020 election. And at this point in time, Clinton's numbers were falling, Trump's numbers were surging. We are not seeing that this time around. Personally, I would not be worried about that. I'm not worried about that. I think Joe Biden's numbers will hold strong until election night. And then finally, we have the final forecast we're going to take a look at today, and that is the hour progress forecast. So, taking a look at Joe Biden's solid states, we have basically the same solid states as the first 2 forecasts. New Mexico is not a solid state on the hour progress forecast. Now, he will carry the 1st District of Maine with a solid margin, as well as most of these other New England and Northeastern states, the District of Columbia. So 183 for Joe Biden. For President Trump, he will carry most of his solid states as well. Basically the same as we've seen basically this entire time. But the 1st District is solid on this forecast. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, not Mississippi, but Alabama, and then these other 3 states. So giving Donald Trump 77 electoral votes. For Trump's likely states, we have Montana, we have Kansas, Missouri, Mississippi, South Carolina, and then finally the state of Alaska, giving Donald Trump 114 electoral votes. And now for Biden's likely states, we have a lot more, of course: Colorado, New Mexico, Minnesota, Michigan, the state of New Hampshire, and then the state of Virginia, as well as the Maine at-large vote. So 242 for Biden, 114 for Trump. For Trump's lean states, he has none of them actually, and Joe Biden only has 3 lean states, I believe. Those are the states, or 4 actually: Nevada, Arizona, sorry about that, Wisconsin, and then the state of Pennsylvania. And then I forgot to fill in Indiana, which is going to be a likely state on this map. So Joe Biden 289. Donald Trump 125, Joe Biden already at 270 electoral votes. He will win the 2nd Districts of Nebraska and Maine with tilt margins. And then the final 2 Trump states are the states of Iowa and Ohio. Note that is not a mistake, because Joe Biden on the hour progress forecast, as you can see here, is projected to give Joe Biden, they do project that Joe Biden will win the state of Texas, Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. So all 4 of these states are Biden states on this 2020 forecast, making this the most lopsided forecast in favor of Joe Biden, giving the former vice president just 11 electoral votes away from 400, and the largest electoral college victory for a Democrat since Lyndon B. Johnson in 1964, almost 6 decades ago. And Clinton He went 379 in 1996, 370 in 1992. Those were blowout victories for Bill Clinton. But this time around, if this map comes true, this will be a huge blow for the Republican Party, losing their stronghold state of Texas. And then I don't think this is too likely, but I think definitely Biden has a very good chance in Texas. I think he should definitely spend a little bit more money there, just making that final push. So right now, Trump seems to be spending a lot of time in the Rust Belt like he did last time, while Joe Biden and Jill Biden, along with Kamala Harris, are just all around the country. And, they're going to be going all around the country in the next couple of days. These are very, very important for this election, these final days leading up to it. Trump, I believe, is also visiting New Hampshire and Maine. I think that's a complete waste of time. He should just stay in the Rust Belt. He also needs to visit Iowa and Georgia, in my opinion, just to lock those states down. Florida, I think he definitely needs to visit again, as well as North Carolina and Arizona, because these are all states that Trump needs, but he's not doing well there. He has to visit all of these states. There's no way he can get through all of them. So I think that the Trump campaign right now, he really should have used his campaign funds better during the beginning, months of this election. I mean, he spent so much money in the early months of 2020, which was a complete waste of money and just really bad finances with the Trump campaign. So right now, Joe Biden 389, Trump 149 on this forecast. Taking a look at this forecasting map, as you can see, Donald Trump is currently projected to win the state of Ohio by 0.0%. Yes, that is 0.0%. Iowa, Trump expected to win by 0.1%, but I've given them Donald Trump. But Texas, definitely not, nor is Arizona or any of these Rust Belt states. So basically today we have taken a look at every single forecast. First, the 538 forecast, which is this map right here, 357. The Economist forecast, which gave Joe Biden 356 because they did not differentiate between the two districts in Maine and Nebraska, as well as the JHK forecast, which gave the exact same map as the 538 forecast in terms of electoral college votes, 357 for Biden, 181 for Trump. And then finally, the Our Progress forecast, which was a little bit more favorable towards Joe Biden, giving the former vice president of the state of Texas and 389 to Donald Trump with 149 electoral votes. The reason why there's no general consensus map on this video is just because I think they're all so similar. We basically have a map that looks like the 538 map if I was to make that. So if you want to see a general consensus map, it is basically this map right here. So Joe Biden 357, Donald Trump 181. That seems to be the average of all of the current 2020 presidential election forecasts. And thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure you join my Discord server if you have not. I forgot to put that in the beginning of this video. So we're doing many events, giveaways, and contests there. I'd really love for you guys to join. They also have a pretty cool mock government on there. Make sure you join. The link again is at the very top of the description below. We also have channel memberships on this channel now, just 99 cents per month. Make sure you check those out if you are interested. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see all of you guys in the next video.